Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on a topic which has attracted a lot of attention and interest. So today's topic is cyber insurance, addressing digital risks in Pakistan. Normally, CxO Global Forum, when we put up our banners for our upcoming webinars, we always get a lot of interest. But I personally feel that today's topic has been one of the most interesting ones based on the audience reactions. And without wasting further time, I would introduce our very learned, very capable panel who will be addressing today's topic. So I think I'll just go across my screen. Ather Abbas, if we can start with you, if you could briefly introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Sahar. Thank you so much. And thank you, all of you, and the CxO Global. My name is Ather Abbas. I'm a veteran insurance person for last 35, 36 years now. Worked with top insurance companies of Pakistan, and now I'm the CEO of Habib Insurance for last couple of years.
Thank you. Welcome to our webinar today, and very happy to have you on the panel. Ahmad Javaid, again, he's a veteran of CxO webinars. So Ahmad, if you could introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Ahmad Javaid, and I'm primarily a cybersecurity and digital trust professional and working in the Middle East for the past couple of decades. Currently, I'm acting as a CEO of Cytellite, which is a company offering the digital trust services all around the Middle East. And very much looking forward to engage the audience today on such a hot topic. And it is indeed having a critical importance in terms of when addressing the digital risks, in the businesses.
Thank you. Good to have you on board as always. I would like to now introduce Mr. Farrukh Khan, who interestingly is a colleague of Ather Abbas. So Farrukh.
Thank you so much, sir. My name is Farrukh Khan, and Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I've been in this industry for past 11 years, and I'm currently working as the Deputy Head of Underwriting at Habib Insurance Company Limited, and I also look after the specialized insurances, just like cyber. So previously, I've worked with one of the top 3 insurance companies in Pakistan, and this is my second company in the industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome. And last but not the least, Osama, if you could introduce yourself.
Right. Thank you so much, Sahar. This is Syed Osama Ali, and I'm basically heading information security strategic projects at HBL. Well, I'm in the industry of information assurance and cybersecurity for the last 2 decades. I've been associated with big 4 firms like PwC, KPMG, Ernst & Young. So I've worked on in Pakistan and different projects in cybersecurity across the globe. So even this cyber insurance is something that as we'll be discussing in later, we are one of those pioneer organizations who actually adopted these, start working on these things, and we have adopted cyber insurance. So we'll be having a good discussion down the line.
Absolutely. Look forward to engaging with all of you today. I think I would like to start with Ahmad. So Ahmad, the first question, and I'm sure this will sort of create a base for our further discussions to follow. What do you think are the primary cyber risks faced by businesses in Pakistan today?
Yeah, that's thank you very much, Sahar. So that's a very common question being asked to all around the globe. Like, what are sort of the cyber risks and threats organizations are facing, regardless of the geography? First of all, the same risks which are being faced, or cyber risks which have been faced by the Pakistani corporates, are as similar as the US, UK, or in the Middle East as well, because internet made the whole globe a single village. A digital era during this time, when we usually refer as a digital era, all of the organizations, including the states, governments, agencies, institutions, everyone are leveraging the technology in order to simplify and amplify their business operations. Now, as a struggle towards the operational excellence, technology plays an important role, which the help of automation of business processes, we can achieve higher level of efficiencies and more effective delivery of the corporate objectives. Being that said, every business has been been under the similar umbrella, has been facing the relevant risk that we can talk about: technology risk, operational risk, financial risk, and so forth. When we are talking about the technology, each technology have its own risks, which basically can result in several kind of negative adverse impacts if that happens. So one very common risk because of the technology usage is the cyber risk or technology risk per se, which we generally has been perceived as the within hacking activity, or we can call it as cyber attacks which are happening in our technology infrastructure these days. Now, those technology, the way it's been the attack takes place is finding some sort of weakness or vulnerability in our technology related systems, and that is usually been exploited, and that's a living risk. So when we, as a corporate leaders, when we come to identify and address such risks, there's a different techniques which we generally follow. And one of the technique is, as a preferred option, is to mitigate those risks. And on the second side, if the cost of mitigating such risks are too high, then we always consider to other options to treat that risk, and that one of that risk is transferring that risk to the other stakeholder. So being that said, very common type of cyber attacks or the relevant cyber risks which organizations are facing today is the data breaches, the identity theft, privacy breach, or sensitive data leakage, or any fraudulent activities. And with that said, a very common industries which are which generally are posed or been considered as the highest receiving industry of cyber attacks is generally the banking sector, where a lot of the money is. So these are the common cyber risks which organizations are facing, and with the effort of mitigating such risks, there's several options of addressing those risks. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, thank you. You very comprehensively did, as always. I think, Farrukh, if you would like to sort of add anything to it.
Yeah, I totally agree with Mr. Ahmad Javaid that the initial response or the initial approach of any organization to mitigate any cybersecurity risk is to improvise their cybersecurity controls and their cybersecurity framework of the organization. Look, it is the organization's utmost responsibility to make all the necessary arrangements to disallow anyone who is trying to access the systems without any authorized access. And obviously, from the perspective of insurance, we also suggest all our potential clients or prospective clients to whom we advise to purchase cyber insurance is that their first and foremost duty is to strengthen their internal cyber security framework, to strengthen their internal cyber systems and the network security protocols. That is something which is paramount, and then you can always opt to transfer that risk as well as a second-hand measure to the insurance company. See, the challenge which we see while educating the masses or the organizations regarding the cyber insurance is people often feel offended as if we are advising them to take cyber insurance because they don't have the optimum or efficient system controls in place. And we always advise them that cyber insurance is always there to complement your existing system protocols. It will always complement it, and once you have all the controls implemented in the organization, it will be far easy for you to obtain the cyber insurance from any insurance company. Thank you.
Thank you. Other-
May I chip in and add to Farrukh's this conversation that in Pakistan, as I told earlier to Ahmad, that only 10 to 11 policies were sold to few banks and others. So you can see the awareness from the public of the to the cyber insurance thing. Probably this is our means our insurance industry's flaw, that uh, still we are lagging behind the world, and we are not offering a very good policy to any banks or to any financial institutions or any healthcare or hotel industry or any other industry. So I think the insurance industry is on the background of this policy. This is a very common policy in the West, and obviously where Ahmad is sitting in UAE and where he is working, he knows that all the UAE firms are taking this cyber insurance. So cyber insurance is the new buzz in the market, but in Pakistan, not in the other part of the world.
That's right, and I hope Pakistan also catches up quickly
Well,
to
Sahar,
look
I would
at.
like to add something in this.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just want to add something what Ahmad Sabit said about the emerging risk. What I've noticed in the couple of years, like the threat landscape has also changed a little bit. Previously, we have seen different kind of attacks, but now you must have seen that as Ahmad Saab has highlighted, data breaches. One fine day, you woke up and you came to know that your particular data has been posted on dark web or any some other forum, the organizational data. So maybe at that thing you need to quantify that what's the value of that data, how you leverage it through the insurance. Other part is the ransomware kind of attacks. These days it's getting very common. You got an attack on your systems that got encrypted, and then the attacker is asking for the ransom to when you pay the ransom, they'll actually release your systems. So these kind of attacks are these are emerging these days, and definitely when we were actually planning for the cyber insurance, so these were a couple of concerns that we were discussing with the insurance companies as well, that how to cater these kind of scenarios, how we can actually account for these kind of activities. So these
Yeah,
kind of emerging attacks, yeah.
true. Osama, just to add to your questions, that today I read in a newspaper that cyber attack hits Iran parliament website.
Right.
So there's today's dawn news. It's a big news for a cyber attack. So you
True.
can the cyber attack hits anywhere. So this is the new war. Uh,
Yeah, true.
and once Farrukh will show us and will go through our presentation, I can assure you that you will get your answers.
Perfect.
Ji Farooq, if you could show your presentation.
Yeah, I'm sharing the PowerPoint presentation. Let me know if it is appearing on your screen. Just a second. Let me see if it is supposed to be appearing up there. Yeah, there you go. So you have my screen. Can everyone see the screen? Sahar, if you can confirm.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Not,
Yes.
Yes.
It is there now?
Yes.
Okay. So starting off with this presentation, there was a basic comment which we used to hear back in 2012 as Thasab rightly said that it is quite common. Cyber insurance is now quite common in the Western countries, and it is now a new buzz in the Pakistani or Asian markets. So Robert Mueller once said in 2012 that there are only two types of companies: those that have been hacked and those that will be. So,
Farrukh, your slide is not moving.
sir, I've done the transition. I believe that it may be due to the online lag that it is not showing as switch to the next screen. Is it now?
No, this is the first
Mm.
screen we are.
Oh, yes,
Okay,
it's not on the slideshow.
it is on the slideshow. It is on the slideshow.
Yeah.
Let me see if it is. Let me stop sharing and let's reshare again. Hmm, something new. Share screen. So, is it there now?
Not now.
No, not now.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Go
I've
to the
switched.
screen second screen.
I'm on the second screen now.
No, we can see the third one.
Okay, so there is a lag behind. When I'm switching here, it takes a moment for you all to see the transition.
I
Okay.
think, Farooq, in the interest of time, if you could just take us through, because I'm
Yeah,
conscious to.
I'll try to take through the matter of my presentation. I'll keep on translating so that Jesse, everybody sees it. So we've done research work based on the global trends of the cyber liability claims, which the global insurance sector has faced as of now. And as per the findings, it came to our knowledge that the 28% of the claims are pertinent to the financial services sector, professional services sector, whereas the 18% of the claims were from the healthcare or hospital sector. 8% of the claims were from the manufacturing entities, and 7% were from the retail sector. And where there were certain other industries which comprise of the total 39%, which have been affected by the cyber liability claims across the globe. So, what do we have in cyber liability insurance for our clients? So, let us just walk through the coverages part of our presentation. So, the first and primary coverage that we have under cyber liability insurance is the incident response expenses, which is also known as the emergency response charges. See what happens. In a normal course of business, when a company has their tangible assets insured against, so the first and foremost duty of the company is to make all the in-house necessary firefighting arrangements in place if they are to buy the fire insurance from the insurance company. And God forbid, if one fine day if there is a fire on the premises, their immediate response has to be the firefighting extinguishers which are on premises available to extinguish any fire. And on parallel, they call on the local authorities, the fire tenders, to come and assist them in extinguishing the fire. On the similar lines, when we speak of the cyber insurance, in cyber insurance, there is a clause available where we have an emergency incident response vendor who comes to the rescue alongside the technical team of the client. Whenever there is a suspected cyber attack, or whenever there is a suspected activity, the IT teams across the globe, they now have a dedicated incident response in-house teams available, who immediately reacts to the situation whenever they suspect something out of the normal protocols happening with their systems, or whenever they suspect that there is an unauthorized access being made. So whenever that thing happens, the first response is from your in-house team. And in case if your in-house team is not able to cope up to the situation, the companies normally hire the outside parties, or the companies which have the expertise of coping up with any potential cyber attack. They hire them for certain amount of charges, and they take their services to stop the penetration of any potential cyber attack or cyber activity. So what happens whenever they, at the face of emergency, whenever they hire someone, some outside organization, they charge an hefty amount and hefty fees for that. and those charges are often in multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. It can be depending on the situation and the penetration of the attack. So the cyber liability insurance gives the paramount coverage of those expenses which an organization, be it the case, if they don't have the cyber liability insurance, and they have to bear that incident response charges of any outside party as a result of a cyber attack. So this is something which organizations used to bear on their own cost, but now that if they have the cyber liability insurance, those charges are covered under the policy. Then we have the number two coverage, that is the network interruption and loss of income. See, the first and foremost response of any organization at the time whenever they suspect that there is a cyber attack being happening on their systems, their immediate response is to take down their core network systems to stop the further penetration of the cyber attack. Whenever the core systems of any organizations are brought down due to any suspicious activity, the organization starts to bear the loss of income with the every passing minute or hours or whatever the time the system has been down through. So those the loss of income which is the company is bearing as a result of that network interruption following the cyber attack, that loss of income component is also covered under this policy. But this network interruption and loss of income has further subcomponents. There can be a scenario when the company's own systems are directly impacted with any potential cyber attack, and they have to take down their own systems and start bearing the loss of income. That direct network interruption component is covered under the policy. What we there are certain supply chain vulnerabilities. There are organizations, they do have their own core systems running, but those core systems are often dependent upon the supply chain or the third party systems. Just as take an example of any ISP. If your system is running on the external ISP, and if there is any potential attack on the third party systems with which your core system is connected with, so in case the third party system is affected, as a security measure, you take down your own systems. So in that scenario as well, you will start bearing the loss of income. So that contingent network interruption component, which is caused due to the potential attack on the third party systems with which your systems are connected with, also covered under policy. Then there is a breaking component. There are certain cyber attacks which are that much severe in nature that they end up losing your core hardwares, and they may also make your licensed softwares corrupt and non-recoverable. So if there is an attack to an extent when your any hardware device is not retrievable or your software is not retrievable, that cost of the loss of hardware and software is also covered under the policy. Then there is a component of reputational loss of income. See, what happens whenever there is a cyber attack, we have seen the practices or the cases in Pakistan when the organizations have been buzzed up with so many cyber attacks, but they don't make that news public. But often we have seen very recently that there were certain cyber attacks on the organizations, and the news has become public. The moment the news becomes public, people start to lose their faith or trust in the security measures of that organization, and ultimately they end up closing down their business ties or relationships with the organization. So that is basically a reputational loss of income which the companies face as a result of a cyber attack. That too is also covered under the policy. Then as our panelists rightly identified, that the most common in today's world is the intent of the cyber attackers to encrypt your systems or your important data files, and they end up demanding the extortion and ransom money. So that cyber extortion and ransom expenses which you end up bearing is also covered under the policy. But when we sell the cyber insurance to the companies, we always advise them to always have their parallel DR sites available. So just in case if there is any loss of encryption, if there is any encryption of your important data files, you should have your ready backup available with the minimum possible restoration time, so that you may avoid ending up paying those extortion amount to the cyber attackers. See, then we have the coverage of the regulatory fines and penalties. See, in Pakistan, there are regulations in place regarding the cyber security and the data privacy, but unfortunately, the enforceability is a question. So we don't know the future scenario, but we've seen that the lawmakers have been working to devise further stringent regulations to come to request to ask and advise the companies to have the proper cyber security framework in place. So just in case if there is a security breach of your systems, which ends you up having a regulatory fines or penalties from any regulation or regulator, so those charges or those expenses of the regulatory fines and penalties are also covered under the policy. So, and then we have the privacy and network security liability, as I've mentioned regarding the privacy regulations that are in place. If there is a privacy regulation in place and which the company has to abide by, and despite that there is a breach of data from your systems following the cyber attack, and if there is any claim made against you, that is covered under this privacy and network security liability. Then we have the multimedia liability coverage. Multimedia liability coverage refers to if there is a transmission of any multimedia content which you have floated over the web, and if that multimedia content is being used by any potential cyber attack for any wrongful act or to extort money from someone, someone, and that third party comes to you citing that I was looking for your multimedia banner, and post that I faced this cyber attack, then that third party claim would also be covered under the policy. So these are I'm just touching base the basic coverages which are available. I would also like to highlight the major exclusions which which a person should be aware of when buying the cyber insurance. See, this is basically the cyber attack coverage, the coverage which will trigger once there is a security breach of your system. So this in no case covers the physical bodily injury or property damage of any means. And if there is a fraudulent and malicious act by any of the person of the organization itself, that too is also not covered. Reason being is whenever you have your in-house employees doing the fraud with your systems, so technically to do that fraud or any malicious act, they should have the authorized access from your IT team. So the cyber liability covers only those events which we take the definition of cyber attack as if whenever there is a security breach and the attacker has breached the security protocols of your system rather than going in through the authorized access. So if when we speak of this network interruption following the loss of income, there's one case which I would like to highlight. It's the government mandated shutdown. If there's government has the mandated the masses to shut down their systems, and due to that shutdown there is a loss of income, bearing that will not be covered in the cyber policy, since there is no trigger of the cyber attack to your systems. Then if there is any physical event as if there is an external fire which has impacted the premises resulting in the damage to your systems, and so that too is also not covered. Then one of the major exclusion is the theft of funds. See, the theft of funds, if we speak of any bank, if they have the customers' funds in their accounts, and if there is a security breach due to which those funds are being transferred to some other account, so the actual monetary value of funds will not be covered under the cyber policy, but that customer who has kept his funds deposited in the bank can come to the bank claiming the amount that you were the custodian of my money, and now that that money has been transferred due to security breach, due to network security breach of your system, now I demand you to give.
Farrukh, just kindly allow me to interrupt here, because as you rightly are explaining, there are several possible and applicable scenarios of breaches and disruptions where basically the business operations can impact,
Yes.
or the risk can be exploited, and resulting in regulatory implications or penalties and so forth. But being that said, I would suggest, because since you have already presented a lot of key points which requires a further light to be shed upon, what are sort of the scenarios, the current challenges, that why organizations are not being able to buy the policies. With that said, if you kindly allow me to just take up,
Please,
or I would
please
say
go ahead,
rather,
Ahmed.
yeah. So the reason is any organization which is heavily depending on the technology in order to run their day-to-day business operations needs there's a pivotal importance of ensuring that infrastructure is well protected from these cyber attacks. And the nature of cyber attacks is changing every day. So that is why it's a continuous journey that the security controls have been looked upon and strengthened and so forth. But there's always a preference for the organizations to have an internal competency developed in order to respond to such incidents or cyber attacks in an effective and efficient manner. So that helps them preserving their integrity as well as internally, as well as it's more cost effective as well in certain scenarios. Being that said, several organizations cannot or should not afford having the all the very expensive resources of cyber professionals onboarded so that they can repair it. So there is always an option of outsourcing the function. So when we talk about outsourcing that function, there's always the driver behind that is cost factor. So the cost effectiveness is one of the rule which when we apply in the risk mitigation efforts, that's where the cyber insurance policies come into the play, that where we opt for transferring that risk. If someone comes and asks me why I should transfer the risk, why should I buy the cyber insurance policy, my answer should be, or certainly would be, that I'm looking for a strategic partner who shares this risk along with me and work hand in hand with me in order to respond to such incidents and bear the risk along with me as well, whether it's form of an operational risk or financial risk and so forth. I would love to have opinions of other respected panelists as well on this thing, that why or why not organizations should go for cyber insurance policies from a business perspective.
Well, Ahmad Saab, you've rightly pointed out that the idea is not the. In fact, I really appreciate the point that you've highlighted in the end, that we are actually looking for the strategic business partner who actually help us out in leveraging this particular risk, who can share this risk with us, and actually, as you've mentioned that since the cyberspace is ever emerging, like every other day you'll have a different kind of threats in your applicable in different industries. So you have different kind of uncertainties available in the market, like someday you'll have the attack on your systems in a different way, the other day there would be the data exfiltration, or maybe you can say you have highlighted the third party or the fourth parties, like in banking sector we have like the frauds related to someone in the remote areas, their branchless banking account got compromised and their funds got transferred to some fraudulent person. So these kind of different nature of frauds that we came across day to day basis. So yes, to cater that thing we need to have some sort of business partner with us who actually help us out in identifying these risks as well, and leverage that risk, share that risk with us. But just to add a little bit in this part, what I've noticed in throughout these days is like the when we are actually working on the cyber insurance part, the difficult part was that to actually there are, yes, different categories of risk available, but our concern was like whenever any breach happens, so who will actually determine the loss first of all, and then who will actually determine this part, that either it's the organization negligence or it's a genuine cyber fraud attack. Because let's say I have a very good security posture in my organization, but again cyber attack happened, so will that be my mistake or it's the a new attack, the new kind of attack? So how will we actually determine this kind of thing? So maybe I'll ask Ather, Abbas or Farrukh, if you can shed some light on this.
Okay. So Farrukh will reply to your question. But before that, I wanted to give you a insurance industry's perspective. What is insurance? Insurance is icing on the cake. Insurance is cherry on the cake. Uh, Insurance is security. आप अपनी I'm sorry, اس کو ذرا اور میں بہتر انداز میں بتاؤں کہ آپ ابھی اپنی گاڑیاں پارک کر کے آئے ہیں تو آپ نے اپنی گاڑی کو لاک کیا ہے, آپ کی گاڑی میں ٹریکر لگا ہوا ہے, آپ نے اپنی گاڑی کے شیشے پوری طرح چڑھائے ہوئے ہیں تاکہ کوئی بریک ان نہ کر جائے, لیکن آپ نے انشورنس بھی لی ہوئی ہے. انشورنس از جسٹ اے پیس آف مائنڈ. اچھا, جیسے احمد صاحب نے کہا, اٹس رسک میٹیگیشن بھی ہے. since we are in insurance, so we are the risk takers. اچھا, ہمارے پیچھے ری انشوررز ہوتے ہیں جو ہمارا رسک اور میٹیگیٹ کر دیتے ہیں. سو یہ تو پورا ایک انشورنس کا سینیریو ہے. میں نے آپ کو بہت چھوٹی سی مثال دی. پاکستان میں جیسے احمد صاحب نے کہا کہ لوگ کیوں نہیں سائبر انشورنس یا اس ٹائپ کی ان انشورنس پہ جاتے. اصل میں ہم نے شاید اس انشورنس کو ابھی تک, حالانکہ میں آپ کو بتا سکتا ہوں کہ پاکستان میں ایک پاور جنریشن کمپنی یا پاور ڈسٹریبیوٹر کو رینسم ویئر دینا پڑا, انہوں نے ابھی تک سائبر انشورنس نہیں لی. ایک بینک ہیک ہو گیا, اس نے سائبر انشورنس نہیں لی, اور اس کے علاوہ بھی جو دوسرے بینک تھے انہوں نے بھی نہیں لی. اس کے علاوہ ایک پاکستان کا بہت بڑا ادارہ ہے جو کہ تمام بینکس کو ٹرانزیکشن کرتا ہے, وہ 2 مہینے تک ہیک رہا, مطلب 2 مہینے سے یا 4 مہینے اب ہو گئے جو وہ اب مینول کام کر رہے ہیں, ان کا سسٹم ہیک ہو گیا, انہوں نے سائبر انشورنس نہیں لی. سو انشورنس از اویلیبل, انشورنس از اویلیبل. اینڈ ایز فاروق نے تو بہت یہ بڑا جیسے کہتے ہیں کوزے میں دریا کو بند کر دیا. یہ ایک بہت بڑا سبجیکٹ ہے, خاص طور پہ سائبر انشورنس ایک بہت بڑا سبجیکٹ ہے. جیسے میں نے کہا کہ اگر آج آپ صبح کا پیپر دیکھیں تو سائبر اٹیک ہٹس ایران پارلیمنٹ ویب سائٹ. تو اب آپ یہ دیکھیں گورنمنٹ ٹو گورنمنٹ بھی یہ ساری چیزیں ہو رہی ہیں. تو صرف کہنے کا مقصد یہ ہے کہ سائبر انشورنس اویلیبل ہے. سائبر انشورنس کو شاید بیچنا نہیں آتا ہمیں ایز اے انڈسٹری, ہم خود شاید ڈرتے ہیں کیونکہ ہمیں پتہ نہیں ہے. ایز اے انڈسٹری کی بات کر رہا ہوں. اور جو سامنے جو لوگ ہیں, جو بائرز ہیں, جن کو لینا چاہیے, وہ بھی شاید اتنے کانفیڈنٹ نہیں ہیں. اچھا, حالانکہ انسیڈنٹس ہو چکے ہیں پاکستان میں جو ہوئے, وہ جو میں نے 3-4 نام لیے وہ تو سامنے آ گئے, پبلکلی ہیں وہ, تو اس لیے میں نے ان کا نام لیے بغیر آپ کو بتا دیا کہ یہ سارے کام ہو چکے ہیں. ابھی تازہ واقعہ ہوا ہے آپ کی اسامہ, پی ایس ایل کی جو کمپنی جو ٹکٹ ڈسٹریبیوٹ آن لائن ٹکٹنگ کی, وہ ہیک ہو گئی ہے. اس کے علاوہ
Ather صاحب ہماری کمپنی نہیں, بیسیکلی وہ ہمارا ایک بزنس پارٹنر کہہ لیں.
obviously but your business partner means your third party نا, مطلب they link to your organization. اچھا, پھر ایک رائڈنگ فرم جو ہے وہ ہیک ہو گئی. اس کو لوگوں نے, اس کے جو ہیکرز تھے, انہوں نے بہت گندے لطیفے یا چیزیں اس پہ بھیجی. انہوں نے پھر بھی سائبر انشورنس نہیں لی, حالانکہ ان کا ریپوٹیشنل رسک تھا. اس کی وجہ سے ان کی لوگوں نے ان کی ایپ جو ہے وہ اس سے نکل گئے, ان کا بزنس لاس ہوا. تو کہنے کا مقصد یہ ہے کہ فرخ تو اس کا ڈیٹیل میں جواب دیں, میں صرف آپ کو اس سینیریو بتا رہا ہوں. ابھی تک نا ہماری قوم تیار نہیں ہوئی ہے.
نہیں, اس میں دیکھیں ایک پہلو یہ بھی ہے, مطلب اگر آپ کی اجازت سے, قطع کلامی معاف, the main thing is the mindset of the business community behind. They always look into the bigger number of the premium they're supposed to pay, but they do not see the long-term benefits of taking it. And of course, from an intelligent business perspective, I think that as an entrepreneurial mindset, we'll always take an intelligent decisions in a way that it's a shared responsibility. Such organizations should develop their internal capability to respond to such incidents and breaches, as well as they protect as a last resort from buying up the insurance policy. Insurance policy premium will always be lesser if organization already have a strong security controls around. But security controls do not give the ultimate assurity of any organizations that they will not be hacked. Hacking is all about when, it's not how.
Oh,
Any
exactly.
organization, nobody is safe from the hacking because every day there's a new algorithms, there's new signatures, there's new viruses, trojans, and everything. Since I'm in a business and I'm in a advising to my customers that, like, if we are giving a green signal on the or the green color assessments with a good security posture of yours, that does not mean it's a guarantee that you will not be hacked. It's a reasonable assurance that yes, when we are protected from a major known risks and threats in the current cyber landscape, but that not does not say, give any sort of a guarantee. Now, coming back to that thing, that it's one thing is the mindset of the key decision makers, and on the other side is that the how well cybersecurity teams are playing their role as well. Now, Ardent, first of all, since Osama Saab is from the same field and we share the same profession, that it's not easy as well to develop that competency within the organization, like in order to design and operationalize a security operations center as a SOC, what we referred as, and developing a monitoring capability with that we are talking about millions of dollars of investment on its own to monitor in a real time. And then we have a very expensive resources which we need to bring on board as a security defense experts.
One.
On top of it, not only the SOC, there is incident response specialist or forensic specialist, which is supposed to come on and play an important role in terms of addressing or responding to such incidents in a timely, efficiently, and effective manner. If we are not able to do that, every second is important more, and it's a time when any incident happens, the time game starts. Every minute the damage is almost exponentially increasing if we are not able to. So it's like, it's a drowning ship we are trying to save that time. So we need to take immediate decisions on that time to isolate the infected machines. We need to take immediate the decisions where sometime we are not able to connect or call the key decision makers, such as from a leadership or C-suite people on the board. So it's a tough situation. So where general my recommendation to my clients are generally that the buying a blanket insurance, which generally the central banks all around the globe mandates, or make it compulsory for banks to buy. That includes a cyber element as well, or any kind of a disruption, per se, from our, to ensure the corporate resilience, capability. So from that perspective, such decision for any organization is not easy, and that needs to be discussed on a right forum with the right presence of all the related key stakeholders. That starts from the CRO, CISO, of course, CEO and CFO. These are the key mandatory participants of such forum, where, of course, the sales and the operations heads can come and give their input in order to go and buy a relevant, more cost-effective cyber policy from an authentic service provider.
So I would like to answer to your query, Osama, and I would also like to address one point which you have raised, Ahmad. See, if there is an organization who's not having a proper IT infrastructure in place per se, or any incident in-house response team due to the cost-cutting measures, so when we go to the client, your point was, मतलब हम जब जाके हम किस तरह से sell करते हैं business को कि आप cyber insurance है, so we advise them that the coverage of the emergency response charges which is offered under the cyber liability insurance policy, we as an insurer, we have a dedicated incident response vendor with us on the panel, and that incident response vendor would be readily available to you at any point in time, whatever time zone you want to take them on board, or the moment you make a call to them, will give you the contact details, and that their team comes to you on board, and they will stay with you Even if after the resolution of any potential cyber activity, if you feel that is resolved, they will stay in touch with your team for the 48 hours. So what happens, that buying this cyber liability coverage not only help you save the cost of taking a third party emergency incident response vendor on board, but you can also ride on their technical expertise of the subject in terms of mitigating any potential cyber attack. And see, there is a scenario, if there is a if there is a ransomware attack, and the cyber attackers are want to have the money from you in exchange of your stolen data. So as a client, you won't be mentally ready to have a direct negotiation with them. So our incident response vendor does that job for you as well. So coming to your point, Osama, you were asking that how it is to how it will be established that there is an actual security breach happened. So whenever there is
इनफैक्ट फारूक,
cyber
मैं थोड़ा सा आपके बारे में ऐड करूंगा कि एक तो ये कि आपने कहा कि हाउ इट विल बी एस्टेब्लिश्ड, दूसरी चीज ये कि देखें, आई वाज जस्ट थिंकिंग फ्रॉम दैट पर्सपेक्टिव दैट यू नो व्हेन यू एक्चुअली डू द असेसमेंट बिफोर you know deciding the premium and all. So even at that time, there is a questionnaire which assess the posture of the organization, the health check and all. But even besides that, if the organization says that we have all the necessary controls in place, they do have the controls in place, but still the breach happened. So
yeah.
the tricky part in my mind always is that I mean, like, how to determine whose negligence it is. I mean, the similar case in the normal insurance part. So this is something interesting, and on that I need to have your view.
Yeah. So I was telling the same, that we have the emergency incident response vendor, just as a normal policy can, that you have the surveyor coming in your way. So that in emergency incident response vendor have the technical expertise. They have a specialized technical team who looks after the cyber liability claims across the region in which they are operating. They sit with your team, they check your system logs. See, at the time of policy, whenever you are willing to purchase the policy, you give their certain protocols which are already in place in the form of a questionnaire to the reinsurer, upon which they do the insurance pricing. But whenever there is a security breach happening, it will be your owners to give them the necessary evidence to justify that this breach or this penetration has happened through an unauthorized access. And if in their assessment and in their findings, if they find something which is through an authorized access, they will advise you that as per their assessment of findings or the logs which they have evaluated supplied by you following the cyber attack, they can point out that this basically access was through an authorized access ID. So we'll definitely advise you for that. So we have the incident response team which is expert in the subject, and it's not like a single person team coming to assist you in terms of if there is a cyber attack. They have a multiplayer team and they remain in contact with you even if they, after the resolution of any potential cyber attack, after the restoration of your system, they remain in touch with your team for till the next 48 hours once your system gets cleaned up.
Right, very well answered. Because this is something that always being curious, because whenever we are talking to any insurer, so this is something that always came in my mind to discuss. Thank you.
I would like to add one thing. Whenever we have a case where we try to have a discussion of our incident response vendor with the technical team of the client, so that they have a comfort readily available in the back of their mind. If God forbid one fine night something happens, so they should know the persons to whom they are calling. They should know their face. They should have seen them. So it gives a comfort to the client when buying the cyber insurance. Okay, I know the guys who will be there to support me at the time of any potential attack.
Right.
Okay, thank you. I think we've had a very detailed discussion on this, and I think because we're sort of nearing the 1 hour mark, we will try and wrap up the discussion. So just quickly going through the list of questions that I wanted to ask and to what extent we've covered this. Is there, and I think one question that is sort of interesting for me is this sector, or whatever we've discussed so far, is this a regulated sector? Are there any laws, rules, regulations on this? How is this governed in Pakistan?
Well, I can say from financial sector, I mean, like, till now it's not that much regulated. Like we don't have that much regulations in this part. But yes, since the past incidents that Ather Abbas has also highlighted, so in financial sector, whenever we do have inspections or the regulator coming in, they do emphasize on this part that you need to have this kind of measures in place for cyber insurance. But yes, I believe there is more room to work on this, to strengthen this ambit and have more regulations in this sector, because it's not just the financial sector. I mean, like as the other panelists has said, that in Pakistan we are just focusing on the financial sector, but I mean, like if you talk about West, we have the healthcare industry, the telecom, that they're actually holding the customer data, and it's a sensitive data that is available. So it's applicable across the different industries, and I guess this should be regulated more, very much regulated for different industries.
Agreed with Osama.
Okay, thank you. Anything else anybody would like to add before we take leave? In fact, I think one parting question is, and somebody mentioned that this trend is sort of commonplace all over the world. For Pakistan, it's still relatively new. So, do we see, given the sort of current climate, macroeconomic climate we're working in, are there any trends or developments we see in this sector? Or we're just going to sort of follow what had happened in other countries and take it from there? Is there anything specific to Pakistan?
Can I?
Uh, yeah, sure, Ahmad, please.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think it's not fair to say that it's new to Pakistan. It's all about, like, the I think what we are lacking behind is the enhancing the awareness and among the top business tier professionals who are leading in the leadership belt. That's exactly the very challenge generally the CRO or the CISOs face in order to convince the business leadership to invest into these mitigating efforts or mitigating mechanisms, which basically can save your business, which you are investing your efforts day and night to expand and enhance, can be jeopardized with one of the only incident or disruptive incident. So, if we are focusing on enhancing the awareness of the key leaderships of the business community, I think we can very much, make them realize the long-term benefits of such effective and fruitful risk mitigation strategies, which they should certainly consider. Just to share an example of the Middle Eastern practice here, that if any company goes to the bank to ask for a loan, the very first thing they ask, like, do you have an insurance policy? So, because most of the organizations, particularly the banks themselves, they are heavily relying on the technology, and they are very much realize the negative adverse impacts of cyber attacks. If something goes wrong, the whole business can be jeopardized. So the only way to ensure the recovery of their own credit facilities is to make the customers buying the insurance policies, and usually that's the a trap. That's a bit different aspect of, because their sister concern insurance company they refer to. So that's one of the element we should consider in our business community as well, just to make sure that use the insurance as a business instrument for survival, but as a last resort. Try
True,
first developing your internal capability first. Thank you.
true. Very well said. Very well said.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all for joining today. I think those who've been listening to us have had quite an introduction to cyber insurance together with cyber risk and cyber security. Um, Again, thank you very much, and hopefully speak to you on another topic in the near future. And of course, last but not the least, thanks as always to CxO Global Forum for arranging such interesting webinars. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank you,
much.
sir. Thank you,
Much.
Osama and
Thank
Ahmad.
you.
Very nice talking.
Same here.
Pleasure.
Thank
Pleasure.
you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right.